Hi everyone, Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at this abstract piece called Spill and Write. So this piece was created after I'd finished Inktober. I'd been working in black and white for so long I wanted to get back into colour and using my Dina Wakley paints. I'm starting off my large journal and I'm just being really abstract with what I'm doing and not really thinking about the colours I'm using, which I start to regret and then it works out in the end. So I'm wet my page so it's almost saturated, and I started with some turquoise and then some fuchsia, and then I've added in some ruby, and it's looking like a hot mess at this stage, and I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I going with this? But I persisted with it. So I'm heating it up to dry the paper. It dries fairly quickly because there is a fairly thin amount of paint on there. I've found for doing this, for moving the paint around, I like using my fingers. I know that's not for everyone, but I find that it's more tactile and it connects me to the piece a lot more, and it just flows a little bit better for me. So here I was thinking about the other colours. I'm going in with some Ocean, which is a slightly darker turquoise colour, and some lime green, and then I think I go in with some yellow, because why not have all the primary colours on there? Now obviously if you're good with your colour theory, this probably isn't the best way to apply paint and over the top. Because I dried out the layers underneath, however, it wasn't making brown. So just be really, really careful when you are working with random colours that you're layering them rather than mixing them when they're wet, because you may get some unexpected things that you're not, unexpected colours you're not looking for. So I'm going in with a Stabilo oil pencil. I wet the pencil as I drew through the paint, and because it's a water activated pencil, you can see particularly on the left hand side where you get that really dark inky line. Where the paint was thicker, you can see it's actually scribed into it. So I'm still not particularly happy with how it's gone. The right hand side has got a lot of paint there that is like, not sure about this. But one of my goals for this piece was to do a reductive painting, which means you've got a painting in the background and then you put another painting over the top to get rid of the background. And because it wasn't a piece that the background wasn't a piece that I was particularly keen on, I was more than happy to do this. Sometimes I'm really happy with my background and I'm a bit scared about doing it, whereas in this case it was like, yeah, I'm quite happy to get rid of the rest of that. So I'm just using a mask of a figure, an abstract figure that I cut from a large piece of A3 paper. I'm using some Night as my neutral, going into some Elephant, which is a warm grey, and then into some Buff, which is a warm white, just to get a shading going across the page. And you can still see the colours in the background, but obviously they've been mostly removed from sight. It's just sort of an interesting background. I was finding the blue was a little bit too light, so I've just gone back in with some black and mixed it up again, so you've got that almost very black navy look. Now I'm going in with the Dina Wakley Medieval Cross stencil, which is one of my favourites, and just removing some of the background so you can see some more of that colour peeping through. When I did that, I stupidly went from the dark colours into the light colours, so I'm just fixing that up by putting some more Buff in there, mixing it up again and removing, doing the same process again. So it was quite an easy fix, particularly while everything was still wet. It worked out quite well, which was good. You can still see some of the black, but I was quite happy with how it looked over. So this is starting to come together and I was really happy with it. Now, one of the reasons for this piece was, one, I wanted to get lots of colours down, but the other was in the Dina Wakley Media Challenge this month, the challenge is to use your favourite things. Now my favourite things are paints and stencils and working in my Dina Wakley journal. So that's what I wanted to do in this. I've used my Dina Wakley paints not necessarily my favourite colours, I have to say. Some of them are. I love the turquoise and red together. This is my favourite stencil. I did choose 3 of my favourite stencils to use on this piece. And obviously my journal. I do prefer the smaller version of the Dina Wakley journal, but I'm pushing myself to work in the big one. For this piece, I'm really happy I did, because it worked really well on a larger scale. Just to add in some extra brightness to the page, I went back over with the stencil and just really, really lightly with some white paint, sponged in some white, just to brighten up particularly the top and bottom corners. Now this halftone dot stencil is another one of my favourites. It's just so versatile, and I'm going in with the night ink, so I can get some pattern in the side. This is a stencil called What We Do, and this is why I art journal. I do it to spill all my colours out and to write. On most of my pieces I have some form of text. It may not be legible, but it's on there in some way, shape or form. And it's me just spilling my guts and writing everything I need to write out. It may not make sense, it may not have anything to do with the piece I'm doing, but the combination of the two I find helps me a lot when I'm journaling. I thought it was important to have both of those on here. You can see in the corner of the spill, the didn't stencil as perfectly as I wanted, so I'm going to go back in with a white Stabilo pencil to add some shadows, and that sort of hides that little furry edge. And I've also gone in around the figure with the Stabilo pencil really, really sketchily to just outline it a little bit and to add to those pencil lines that are in the inside. And at this stage I was really loving this piece. I loved how those loose lines in the middle of the piece were coming through. I loved the pop of colour against all the neutrals on the page. The figure really came alive though when I started to put the white line around it. It sort of really helped highlight the image. So now all I'm doing is finding some words to put inside. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but I came across this collage sheet again from Dina Wakley, and it said, art is your soul on view. And that just summed up this page perfectly for me, particularly with the figure with the brightness and then the neutrals around it. It really is, you know, focusing on what's going on in your insides, and that's how I feel about it anyway. I'm sure other people have got other reasons for why they art journal. Those are mine. At this stage I was looking for my white Stabilo pencil again. If anyone knows where I put it, because I still can't find it, it just disappeared on me. So I was looking desperately for it because I was thinking about journaling in white just down the side. In the end I decided to journal in black, and I'm actually quite glad that I did that because it really blended in, but it was there. And one of the things, while most of it is illegible, one of the things I do remember writing about was saying how I enjoyed that the journaling lives in the shadows, that it's not the focus, but it's there and it's important. But, you know, we focus on the brighter, the more colourful things, which to me is important. But it's also important to know that there's other things going on in the background. So that's why I like that sort of contrast of, you know, the bright and the darker. I think, you know, important halves of two wholes, one whole. So this is the finished piece. It was a very simple piece to do. I wasn't sure where it was going to begin with, but I was really happy with where it ended up. I hope you really enjoyed this and you have a go at doing something similar yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.